First contact. Captain Zaravellos stood on the bridge of the Galactic Union ship Concordia, her lavender eyes fixed on the blue-green world slowly rotating on the viewscreen. Earth. The homeworld of humanity. A species that, according to Union databases, had barely begun to explore their own star system. She remembered the excitement that had rippled through the Concordia's crew when they received the mission orders. The honor of making first contact with a new species. The opportunity to forge a new friendship that could shape the future of the galaxy. But as the Concordia slipped into high orbit above humanity's cradle, Zara felt unease prickle the scaled skin at the back of her long neck. The planet below was an emerald jewel, sapphire oceans embracing verdant continents under wisps of white cloud. And yet, Captain, I'm detecting multiple energy signatures rising from the planet's surface, reported Lieutenant Callow at the sensor station, his voice tight. They're weapons platforms. Planetary defense systems powering up across the globe. Zara's unease blossomed into alarm. A pre-spaceflight species shouldn't have planetary defense systems. Raise shields. Bring the ship to yellow alert. As she spoke the words, new contacts blinked into existence on the sensor display. Ships. Human ships. But not the primitive chemical rockets the Concordia's database predicted. These ships bristled with weaponry, their hulls sculpted for combat, thrumming with power. And they were moving to surround the Concordia at an astonishing speed. Captain, we're being targeted, Callow called out, his face pale. Human ships are taking up attack positions. Planetary defense platforms have weapon lock. The Concordia was an exploration vessel. A ship of peace. She had shields, but minimal armaments. Certainly nothing that could stand against an entire planet's worth of advanced weaponry. Open a channel, Zara ordered, fighting to keep her voice steady. Broadcast on all frequencies. The communications officer, a young Valti named Reen, worked frantically at her console. Channel open, Captain. Zara drew herself up, projecting a confidence she didn't quite feel. This is Captain Zaravellos of the Galactic Union ship Concordia. We come in peace, seeking to establish dash. The ship shuddered as a lance of energy flashed past the viewscreen, close enough to scorch the Concordia's shields. A warning shot. Zara's words died on her tongue. Reen looked up, her eyes wide. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the planet. Audio only. Put it through. A voice filled the bridge, speaking in clear, unaccented galactic standard. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Janine Prescott of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered the sovereign space of the Terran Confederation. Power down your shields and weapons, and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. Zara shared a disbelieving look with her first officer, Commander Dax. This wasn't the reception they'd expected. Not by a long shot. She moistened her lips, choosing her next words with care. Admiral Prescott, there seems to be some misunderstanding. We're here on a peaceful mission of diplomacy and contact. The Galactic Union wishes to extend the hand of friendship dash. Admiral Prescott cut her off, her voice hard. We've heard those words before, Captain. From a dozen different species over the centuries. Just before they tried to conquer us. You'll understand if we're not inclined to take you at your word. Centuries. Conquer. Zara's mind reeled, trying to make sense of the Admiral's words. What was going on here? What had they stumbled into? Dax leaned in close, his voice a whisper. Captain, this isn't a first contact scenario. We need to withdraw, regroup. Figure out our next move. Zara nodded, a sick feeling settling into her stomach. He was right. They were in over their heads here. She turned back to the screen, meeting the steely gaze of Admiral Prescott. Admiral, we will comply with your demands. We intend no hostility towards Earth or its people. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. We'll see. Stand by for boarding, Captain. And pray that you're telling the truth. For your sake. The transmission cut off, plunging the bridge into silence. Zara sank back into her chair, her mind whirling. Trying to process the fact that everything they thought they knew about Earth, about humanity, was wrong. The Concordia had come seeking to make history. To forge a new alliance that could shape the destiny of the galaxy. Instead, they'd landed in the middle of a mystery. A mystery that, if the steel in Admiral Prescott's voice was any indication, could get them all killed if they made one wrong move. As the human boarding craft approached the Concordia's airlock, Zara closed her eyes, reaching for the calm center within herself. She had a feeling they were going to need it. The story continues in Part 2, where the shocking truth about Earth's history is revealed to the stunned crew of the Concordia. Amid tense negotiations, the Union learns that the galaxy is a far more dangerous place than they ever imagined, and that humanity has been on the front lines of that danger for centuries. The fragile first contact becomes a pivotal moment that could lead to a new era of cooperation, or a devastating war that could shake the cosmos. The conference room aboard the Terran Confederation flagship Relentless was a stark contrast to the warm, organic curves of the Concordia's bridge. Hard angles, cold metal, and the subtle thrum of heavily shielded power conduits. It was a room designed to intimidate, to project strength. At the center of the room, Captain Zara Velos sat with her senior officers, facing a delegation of Earth's leaders. Admiral Prescott was there, her graying hair pulled back in a severe bun, her uniform crisp and adorned with countless commendations. Beside her sat General Michael Novak, a bear of a man with a face etched by years of hardship, and Dr. Lisa Singh, her elegant features betraying nothing of her thoughts. Zara took a breath, meeting Admiral Prescott's gaze. "Admiral, I believe there has been a terrible misunderstanding. The Galactic Union has no intention of conquering Earth. Our mission is one of peace, of fostering cooperation and understanding between our peoples." Admiral Prescott leaned forward, her eyes hard. "Forgive my skepticism, Captain, but we've heard similar platitudes before. The Kraltii spoke of peace, right before they tried to bombard our cities from orbit. The Veshanake promised cooperation, even as they were preparing to unleash a bioengineered plague." Zara shook her head, trying to process what she was hearing. I don't understand. The Union has no record of these species, these conflicts." Dr. Singh spoke up, her voice calm and measured. "I'm not surprised, Captain. The Kraltii, the Veshanake, the Core, they're not part of your Union. In fact, they no longer exist." A chill ran down Zara's spine. "What do you mean?" General Novak leaned back in his chair, his expression grim. "They tried to take Earth, Captain. They failed. We made sure they would never threaten anyone else again." Admiral Prescott tapped a control on the table, and a holographic display sprang to life above the center of the table. It showed Earth, but not the Earth of today. This Earth was scarred, its surface pocked with craters, its oceans choked with debris. This was Earth after the first invasion, Admiral Prescott said. The Kraltii. We were still divided then, still fighting amongst ourselves. They nearly shattered us. The display shifted, showing grainy images of strange ships raining fire from the skies, of cities crumbling, of humans fighting in the rubble. But we survived. We adapted. We learned. The images changed, showing captured alien technology being studied, reverse engineered. Human scientists working feverishly in secret labs. And when the Kraltii came again, we were ready. The display showed a second battle, but this time it was the alien ships that burned, that shattered under the onslaught of advanced human weaponry. Dr. Singh took over the narrative. We thought it was over then. We were wrong. The Veshanake came next, then the Core, then others. Each time, we fought back. Each time, we grew stronger, more advanced. Zara felt like she couldn't breathe. The scale of what she was hearing, the implications. How long, she managed to whisper. How long has this been going on? Admiral Prescott met her gaze, and for the first time, Zara saw a flicker of weariness in those hard eyes. Centuries, Captain. Humanity has been fighting for its survival against alien threats for over 300 years. The room fell silent, the weight of that revelation hanging in the air. Zara's mind raced, trying to reconcile this with everything she thought she knew about Earth, about the galaxy. The Union believed itself to be a beacon of civilization, a force for peace and unity in a chaotic universe. But now she saw that they were latecomers. That while the Union had been spreading its message of harmony, Earth had been fighting a secret war for its very existence. A war that had forged humanity into something far different than the naive, primitive species the Union believed them to be. She met Admiral Prescott's gaze, saw the challenge there, the unspoken question. How would the Union react, now that it knew the truth? Would it stand with Earth, or would it become just another in a long line of threats to be overcome? In that moment, Zara knew that the answer to that question could change the face of the galaxy forever. She only hoped that the Union, that she, was ready for the responsibility. The story continues in Part 3, as the Galactic Union and the Terran Confederation attempt to forge an uneasy truce in the face of centuries of distrust and conflict. As Union diplomats and scientists begin to work alongside their human counterparts, they start to see the true face of human society, a civilization shaped by constant warfare, where every aspect of life is geared toward survival against overwhelming odds. But even as tentative bonds start to form, new dangers loom on the horizon. For the galaxy is a dangerous place, and Earth's long vigil has not gone unnoticed. Uneasy truce. The Citadel, the heart of the Terran Confederation's government, was a marvel of engineering. A massive space station orbiting high above Earth, it was a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Here, in halls of gleaming metal and high-tech efficiency, the fate of Earth and its relations with the wider galaxy would be decided. Captain Zara Velos walked alongside Admiral Prescott, trying to reconcile the grandeur of her surroundings with the grim history she'd learned. Each corridor they passed through seemed to hum with purpose, with the energy of a species that had fought tooth and nail for its right to exist. We're prepared to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Galactic Union, Admiral Prescott was saying, her tone businesslike. Under certain conditions. Zara nodded, her mind still reeling from the revelations of the past few days. Of course, Admiral. The Union is eager to learn from humanity's experiences, to find ways we can cooperate and support each other. Admiral Prescott stopped, turning to face Zara directly. Her eyes held a mix of weariness and steel. Understand this, Captain. We've been fighting for our survival for centuries. We've seen the worst the galaxy has to offer. Trust doesn't come easily to us. Zara met her gaze, trying to project sincerity. I understand, Admiral. The Union knows it has much to prove to Earth. We're prepared to take things at your pace, to earn your trust through our actions. The Admiral studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. We're willing to allow a small contingent of Union personnel to remain on Earth, as a first step. But they'll be under constant supervision, their access to our technology and information strictly controlled. It was a start, Zara thought. A chance to build bridges, to begin healing the wounds of the past. Thank you, Admiral. The Union appreciates this opportunity. As they continued their tour of the Citadel, Zara couldn't help but marvel at the technological wonders around her. Advanced propulsion systems, energy weapons, shielding technology, all reverse-engineered from captured alien technology and improved upon by human ingenuity. It was a stark reminder of the difference between the Union's path and Earth's, where the Union had advanced through peaceful exploration and scientific discovery, Earth had been forced to evolve under the constant pressure of warfare. Over the next few weeks, as the first Union diplomats and scientists took up residence on Earth, that difference became even more apparent. Every aspect of human society, from their education system to their popular culture, was geared toward survival and defense against alien threats. Children learned battlefield tactics alongside their math and history. Entertainment was filled with stories of heroic resistance against overwhelming odds, and even the most mundane technologies had been adapted for military use. It was a society unlike anything Zara had ever seen, a testament to humanity's unyielding determination. But it was also a society on a hair trigger, where centuries of trauma and fear simmered just beneath the surface. And as the Union personnel began their work, that underlying tension began to make itself known. Suspicious glances, guarded conversations, a constant undercurrent of mistrust. It was clear that earning humanity's trust would be a long, difficult process. But Zara was determined to see it through. She believed in the Union's mission, in the power of cooperation and understanding to overcome even the deepest of divides. She would work tirelessly to build those bridges, to find common ground between the Union and Earth. Even as she thought this, however, a nagging worry tugged at the back of her mind. The galaxy was a vast, unpredictable place. And Earth's long, lonely vigil had not gone unnoticed. Somewhere out there, she knew, new threats were stirring. Threats that could push the fragile peace between humanity and the Union to the breaking point. They would need to stand together, to trust each other, if they were to have any hope of facing what was to come. But would centuries of distrust and fear allow for that trust to grow? Or would the scars of Earth's past prove too deep to heal? Only time would tell. Crisis point. The alarms blared through the halls of the Citadel, red lights pulsing in time with the urgent klaxons. Captain Zaravelos raced through the chaos, her heart pounding in her chest. She burst into the Citadel's command center, finding Admiral Prescott and her staff hunched over a tactical display. "Admiral, what's happening?" Zara asked, fear gripping her voice. Admiral Prescott looked up, her face grim. "One of your ships, Captain. It violated our restricted space around Jupiter. It was fired upon by our automated defense systems." Zara felt her blood run cold. Fired upon? Is the crew? They managed to send a distress signal before crashing on Europa. Their status is unknown. Zara closed her eyes, trying to process the enormity of what had happened. A Union ship, attacked by Earth's defenses. It was a nightmare scenario, one that could shatter the fragile trust they had been working so hard to build. "Admiral, I don't understand." The restrictions were clearly communicated. Why would they violate them? Admiral Prescott's jaw tightened. "That's what we intend to find out, Captain. My people are already preparing a rescue mission. And your crew will be taken into custody for questioning as soon as they're found." Zara nodded, numb. She knew the Admiral was within her rights, but the thought of Union personnel being interrogated by Earth's military, it made her stomach churn. The situation only escalated from there. As news of the incident spread, old fears and suspicions reared their heads. The Union Senate was in an uproar, with hardline factions demanding a show of force to secure the release of their people. Earth's media, meanwhile, whipped the public into a frenzy, with talk of alien aggression and broken promises. And through it all, the fate of the crashed ship's crew remained unknown. Zara worked tirelessly to calm the situation, shuttling between desperate meetings with Union officials and tense negotiations with Earth's leaders. She pleaded for patience, for understanding, even as she could feel the situation slipping out of control. The breaking point came when long-range sensors detected a Union fleet moving towards Earth, their intentions unclear. Earth's defenses went to full alert, and suddenly the specter of all-out war loomed over everything. In a last, desperate attempt to avert catastrophe, Zara managed to secure a meeting with Admiral Prescott and the Union's ambassador. They met in a small, secure room deep within the Citadel, the weight of the crisis hanging heavy in the air. "Admiral, please," Zara began, her voice strained. "We must find a way to de-escalate this situation. Surely we can agree that war is in no one's interest." Admiral Prescott's face was like stone. The safety of Earth is my only interest, Captain. And right now, the actions of your people are making me question whether that safety can be assured while the Union is here. The Union ambassador bristled. Is that a threat, Admiral? It is a fact, Ambassador. One that I. She was cut off by a sudden commotion outside the room. Shouting, the sound of running feet. Then the door burst open and a young Earth officer stumbled in, his face pale. Admiral, he gasped. We've received a message from the crashed ship on Europa. They're alive, and they say they have critical information. Information that changes everything. The room fell silent, the weight of the officer's words sinking in. Zara felt a flicker of hope in her chest. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was still a chance to pull back from the brink. But what information could possibly change the course of this crisis? What revelation awaited them on the icy surface of Europa? The answers, Zara knew, would determine the fate of not just the Union and Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy. And she couldn't shake the feeling that they were all standing on the precipice of something far greater, and far more terrifying, than any of them had ever imagined. The story reaches its climax in Part 5, as the true nature of the crashed ship's mission is revealed. A revelation that will shake the foundations of both the Union and Earth, and force them to confront the reality that their binary conflict may be blinding them to a much greater threat. In a race against time, Captain Zaravelos and her unlikely allies from Earth must work to unravel a conspiracy that threatens to consume them all. Success could mean a new era of unity and cooperation. But failure could mean the end of everything they hold dear. New understanding. The icy surface of Europa stretched out in all directions, a vast expanse of frozen desolation. But amid this lifeless landscape, a small outpost of warmth and light could be seen, the crash site of the Union ship. Captain Zaravelos stepped out of the rescue shuttle, Admiral Prescott by her side. The cold immediately cut through her thermal suit, but she barely noticed. Her focus was entirely on the small group of survivors huddled around the wreckage of their ship. As they approached, one of the survivors, a tall Vidari male, stepped forward. His face was haggard, his eyes haunted, but there was an urgency in his voice as he spoke. Captain Velos, Admiral Prescott. Thank the stars you came. We have information, critical information. Zara exchanged a glance with the Admiral. We're listening. The Vidari took a deep breath. Our ship, we weren't just on a routine mission. We were fleeing. Fleeing from something terrible. He went on to explain. They had been on the outer edges of Union space when they encountered a ship unlike anything they had ever seen. Massive, organic in shape, and emitting a strange, pulsing energy. They had tried to communicate, but the response had been immediate and violent. It attacked us without provocation, the Vidari said, his voice shaking. Tore through our shields like they were nothing. We barely escaped. And as we fled, we saw other ships converging on its location. Dozens of them. Admiral Prescott frowned. Other Union ships? The Vidari shook his head. No. Ships of different designs. Different species. But all organic, all pulsing with that same energy. A chill ran down Zara's spine. A sudden, terrible understanding dawning. The previous invaders of Earth, the Krautii, the Vesheneke, the Core, they all had different technologies, different biologies. Admiral Prescott's eyes widened. You think they were all running from this? This, whatever it is. The pieces were falling into place in Zara's mind. The strange inconsistencies in Earth's accounts of the previous invasions. The desperation, the seeming irrationality of their actions. What if they weren't invading, she whispered. What if they were fleeing? Trying to find safety, just like this ship was? The Vidari nodded grimly. There's more. Just before our communications cut out, we intercepted a message. A repeating signal, broadcast on all frequencies. Just 3 words. He paused, his face pale. Harvest has begun. The weight of those words hung in the air. A terrible, chilling premonition of what was to come. In that moment, on the frozen surface of Europa, the divisions between Union and Earth seemed to melt away. The petty squabbles, the misunderstandings, the centuries of distrust, all of it paled in comparison to the realization of what they were truly facing. "We need to warn the Union," Zara said, her voice shaking slightly. "And Earth. Earth needs to prepare." Admiral Prescott nodded, her face set with grim determination. "Agreed. It seems we have a common enemy. And if we're going to have any chance of surviving, we need to face it together." It was a moment of unity, of understanding, forged in the face of unimaginable threat. The beginning of a new alliance, a new chapter in the history of both their peoples. But even as they made their plans, even as they set in motion the gears of cooperation and preparation, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were already too late. That the harvest had already begun. And somewhere out in the vast expanse of space, a terrible force was stirring. A force that had consumed countless civilizations, countless worlds. A force that now turned its gaze upon the glittering jewel of Earth, and the fledgling alliance that stood in its way. The battle for survival had begun. And the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The end. This concludes the 5-part story, The Galactic Panic, humanity's bold defiance in the face of diplomacy. Throughout this tale, we've seen the complex relationship between the Galactic Union and Earth unfold, from the tense first contact to the gradual building of trust, and finally, to the realization of a greater threat that dwarfs their differences. It's a story of misunderstandings and mistrust, but also of courage, resilience, and the potential for unity in the face of overwhelming odds. In the end, it is only by coming together, by understanding their common plight, that the Union and Earth stand a chance of surviving the looming darkness. This narrative touches on themes of the nature of conflict, the importance of communication and understanding, and the ways in which our assumptions and prejudices can blind us to the truth. It also highlights the incredible capacity for adaptation and cooperation that emerges in times of crisis. While the immediate threat is left unresolved, the stage is set for a grand new chapter in this galactic saga. Earth and the Union, once divided by centuries of distrust, now stand united against a common foe. The challenges they face are immense, but so too is their combined strength and determination. It's a powerful message of hope in the face of adversity, and a reminder that even in our darkest moments, the light of understanding and unity can still shine through.